Yeah, there was definitely a lot of convincing.
I think it's Hawaii in general. You know,
They're
very
apprehension about new
supportive.
things, or the supportive part.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's that conservative kind of aspect to Hawaii, but I think for the most part, people are really supportive, you know.
When you drive through Kakaako in Honolulu, you can almost see the change happening before your eyes. Quaint mom and pop stores are being priced out of the area. Huge condos are in the process of being built or planned. But there's also a visual liveliness. Pop-up stores and restaurants are attracting an energetic night crowd. And a thriving arts community has staked out Kakaako as a blank canvas where they can express themselves. Two of these artists are Jasper Wong and Kamea Hadar. Next on Long Story Short.
Long Story Short with Leslie Wilcox is Hawaii's first weekly television program produced and broadcast in high definition.
Aloha mai kako. I'm Leslie Wilcox. Jasper Wong and Kamea Hadar are two up-and-coming Hawaii artists who have transformed the landscape of Honolulu through community art. As organizers of Pow Wow, Hawai'i, a nonprofit annual artist collective and street art festival, Jasper Wong and Kamea Hadar have been bringing together local and international artists to create large collaborative murals, which have added color and culture to the Kakaako district. Both graduated from Kalani High School in Honolulu, and from an early age, they both found themselves gravitating toward the arts.
I was raised by a single mother who raised 3 kids. There's 3 of us. I'm the oldest, and my dad left when I was about 12.
Have you seen him since?
I have here and there, but I haven't seen him for years, for a while, yeah. So I don't really know what he does. But yeah, just my mom. And then my mom owned a bunch of bakeries. Actually, in the beginning, she owned like a butcher shop in Kalihi, next to the KFC by Farrington. And then later on, she had like different bakeries in Chinatown on Hotel Street and in Market City and stuff like that.
Did you grow up working in the businesses?
Yeah, I grew up like packing bread and cleaning up and going on the register and selling baked goods. And after a while, you just hate pastries so much.
So back when you were the butcher's son, did you know you wanted to be an artist? Did you tell people, I want to be an artist?
Yeah, no, I had to spend so much time there growing up, like at the shop, and I just would just draw all day long. It was always something that I did growing up. Like I would have, like in my composition books, it would always be just drawings of like comic book characters, or on the side of the page, I would do like little, like a flip book cartoon of like Dragon Ball characters fighting each other and stuff. It was just always something that I wanted to do. And my mom was always very supportive. Like she wasn't like that typical Asian mom where it was like I had to be a doctor or an accountant or a lawyer or something. It was like I was into art, and she found ways to sort of like help me. Like, you know, either she'll like buy me books, or she'll try to enroll me in classes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Or something like that, yeah.
Kamea, were you always drawing and painting at a young age too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, ever since I can remember.
And I think that's where you have something in common too, because I think you both credit parental figures with hard work and your work ethic and your achievement.
Yeah.
Talk about that. What are your parents like?
My parents are definitely dreamers. Definitely, they're they're the ones who house all the powwow artists every year up at their estate. It's called Utopium Estate in Pupukea Heights, and that's a similar sized project to Pow Wow. I mean, was this crazy dream to have a property and a big house that could house artists and creative types and have retreats and foster creativity. And it was this, crazy idea. And my parents are, like us. They're talkers and dreamers, and they're doers. And so they built the place with their own 2 hands, And yeah, I think my parents definitely instilled the work ethic that I have, and then the reach for the stars kind of attitude that is necessary to be an artist and to be to do big things like this.
Jasper Wong and Kamea Hadar often find themselves traveling the world and participating in other art festivals and gallery exhibitions. The pair are no strangers to this bohemian lifestyle.
I've been lucky where, you do art shows and stuff, and then people fly out to all over the world to sort of like paint and do different things and do design work. You know, like this year alone I have to fly to Germany and Montreal and Bali and Hong Kong, and just for like different things that I gotta do out there. So, and I own a small gallery in Hong Kong too. So it kind of has led us to a lot of amazing places and to do a lot of amazing things. And
How much do you think the travel that both of you have done, even before you became professional artists, you both had experience living abroad. How did that help you? I'm sure it helped in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge thing that was instilled into me from a baby. Was my parents were always traveling and always taking my brother and I all over the world, and I just grew up, constantly experiencing new places and new people and seeing new things. And I think that, to me, just gives you that kind of open-mindedness that is really good for a creative person, because it just proves to you that there's so many different types of people and so many different types of point of views in the world, that and to never just have tunnel vision with anything, and that the possibilities are, and that the world is huge and the possibilities are endless,
yeah, definitely.
You had an experience in Japan before you became a working adult. It's interesting because one parent is from Macau, one is from Hong Kong,
yeah.
But you chose Japan as the place you travel to a lot.
Yeah, I've definitely traveled to Japan a lot. I think that's probably because I was so interested in the culture growing up. I went there to study manga at Kyoto Seika Daikaku, and I couldn't speak any Japanese, and even when I was there, I couldn't speak anything. So I just would show up to class and just guess as to what I was supposed to do. But it was fun though. It was a cool
You have to be brave to go do that. Go to another part of the world you haven't been to and show up and not speak the language and take classes.
Yeah, it was fun. It was like, I kind of enjoyed those kind of experiences, sort of picking up and leaving and then going to a city where you like know nobody and trying to start over and meet people, and it kind of opens up your horizons. Because I think growing up in Hawaii, like going to school here, like I didn't even know that art colleges existed, even, and then there was even like art high schools too. Like I had no idea about that kind of stuff. And I thought that if you wanted to be in the arts industry, that you had to either do graphic design or something similar to that. And so I lived in Portland first for a little while, and I went to Lewis and Clark College. And then while I was there, I discovered that there was art colleges. So I transferred myself over to the California College of the Arts in San Francisco. And that's when I got involved more with like galleries and doing shows and learning all that kind of stuff. And I was really into that. I was doing like 6 to 9 shows a year, just because it was just such a new world to me, because I never experienced that before.
After Jasper Wong studied art in California and Japan, a move to Hong Kong reshaped his career path. It was a move that would eventually impact the art scene in Hawaii.
I moved to Hong Kong because I wanted to learn about manufacturing. And
manufacturing
and like anything. Like I know that when I went to art college, like they teach you concepts and ideas, but then what is that process to get your idea to a physical form? If you're doing a shoe, a chair, or anything for that matter, like what is that? How do you get that to sort of become an actual
Was that related
product?
to your art career?
Yeah. And so then I wanted to sort of learn how to do that kind of stuff, because if not, then I'm always just sort of like, I could never really start my own thing without learning the process of sort of getting from point A to point B. But then when I was there, I wanted to keep doing art shows. And then so I started taking my portfolio, just like my stuff around to like all the galleries. And in Hong Kong, the gallery scene is more finance-based, because it's a city of trade. And so all the galleries were more like painting inventory stores. They weren't really trying to push younger artists or doing shows. I mean, it's a lot different now, because now like they have the Art Basel there. But then when I was living there, it was totally different. And at that time, mainland Chinese art was sort of like the hot commodity. Like if you weren't mainland Chinese, then they couldn't care. So I'll take my art around, and they didn't want to show my work because it wasn't a good investment. Like there was no potential. So my choice was to either just give up or just start my own gallery. So I just ended up starting my own little gallery, and just to push my own art and to push friends' art. And there was like, and so we just did that. And the first show in that little gallery was the first Pow Wow.
you came up with the name Pow
Yeah,
Wow?
yeah, Pow Wow, yeah, because then the Pow was sort of the reaction that art has on the viewer. It's like a punch in the face. It came from like comic books, and then Wow is sort of your reaction to that work. So it's like Pow and Wow.
So this is not the Narragansett term for gathering. This is completely not that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, but
Okay.
then you know when it's together, then it's a gathering. So it felt like then the roots came from comic books originally. So we have the exclamation marks behind each word. It's just sort of like Pow and the Wow and the Pow together. It's like a gathering to celebrate art, culture, and music. It felt like it was the perfect term for what we were pushing and what we were doing, you know. And so it became that. And afterwards, it was like, we want to keep doing it. And so where could we do it? You know, either we could do it in Berlin, Singapore, Shanghai, Beijing, wherever there was friends that had spaces, and then Hawaii was a choice too. But you know, growing up in Hawaii, we were always like, was it the best spot to do it? Like, do you think people would really care about it? And I felt like we should try.
Well, what is it? I mean, what is the essence of Pow Wow?
It's really just it is a gathering to sort of bring, just like if we got that many people together of just like all these creative people into one place, then something amazing is going to happen. And also we felt like galleries or museums there's always that sort of barrier. Like as an everyday person, sometimes you're kind of afraid to sort of pass that threshold and go into a gallery because you feel like maybe it's not for you, or maybe it's for like high society or something. So then if we paint on the walls in public, you have no choice. Like it's right in front of you. You know, the artwork that you drive, like it's right there.
And also the murals bring other positive things. Not only does it bring attention to their businesses and to their land and buildings, but it, you know, I think a common misconception is that you know, this is going to attract vandalism, but it actually, you know, does quite the opposite. Once the walls are painted, it becomes not completely untouchable, but let's say people don't mess with the artwork. I mean, it's a big deal to vandalize somebody's artwork. So the caretakers of the land have actually told us that, you know, they buff out probably a quarter the amount of graffiti that they used to, or illegal, you know, vandalism that they used to.
Is that respect paid by graffiti artists to other artists?
Yeah, but we're also very inclusive of the whole graffiti community. Like we try to include them into the project as well, and we try to give them a voice through those walls. And I think by doing that, it's sort of, to a lot of them, it makes the place to them more sacred.
Kamea Hadar grew up with the multicultural backgrounds of a Hawaii-born mother of Japanese and Korean ancestry and a father from Israel. His art studies led him to faraway places like the University of San Luis in Madrid, Israel's University of Tel Aviv, and the Sorbonne in Paris.
You know, I had time at the Sorbonne in Paris, and you know, studied in Europe, and so yeah, I mean, I came from that very classical kind of base, and a lot of the artists in Pow Wow came from the other way around, where they came from the street and they came as, you know, graffiti artists. That, you know, a lot of the stuff they do, actually almost all of the stuff they started off doing is just completely illegally, you know, painting.
Was that an odd mix of artists?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of it, is that we have all these different artists and everyone gets along so well.
They
I mean,
respect each other?
Yeah. The process of creation and collaboration are two of the biggest things that we stress at Pow Wow. So collaboration, you know, not only makes for better, more interesting art many times, but also it's a beautiful thing to see artists share their cultures through art.
We all stay at the Utopium, you know, Kamea's family's home up in North Shore, and we make it a point to sort of put them all in one big house together, you know, and that way you're sort of forced.
Sounds like a future reality show to
Yeah,
me.
it is. So there's always some times where stuff. Yeah,
definitely have
film
video
it.
cameras in that house.
And so then, like, they're forced to hang out with each other. You know, like you have no choice but to make a connection with the person that you're sleeping next to. And then by the time you're painting, then everyone's sort of more relaxed and cool. There's less egos going around. It's more like, hey, we're all painting together. We're all having fun in Hawaii together. Let's just have a good time and let's just make it happen.
You know, Hawaii is a very, very mixed place. You know, you have all different, you know, I'm Hapa, so I have, you know, parents from very different cultures. So, I mean, to see that in physical form on the wall painted, you know, you can see like an artist from Australia and a Cambodian artist painting together, and you get all these different mixes, and you literally see the art twisting together. I think that's just, it's one of the most beautiful things. There's a wall near the new Starbucks off of Alamana Boulevard, and it was one of the walls that was created by 5 artists. One was from Australia, one was from Hawai'i, one was from London, and one was from Cambodia. The Cambodian artist was the one who I think you're speaking of, who did the Naga snake, which is that mythical Cambodian snake that kind of weaves throughout the piece and kind of, to me, like tied it all together.
Do you think by painting together, have you seen individual artists' style change?
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think we're always inspired by each other. You know, even like when I watch them paint, like I kind of change the way I paint just by observing them. You know, and so you learn a lot being around a lot of artists, and you sort of pick up different things that they do and try to apply it to yourself, and it kind of opens your mind as to like what's possible. You know, because I would never have thought to. Like when you start using the weed sprayer to paint with.
A weed sprayer.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the artists that I painted with this year, one of them, his name is Ron, he's from Australia, and he taught me some amazing things. And a lot of the techniques he developed himself. And he really didn't have to share his secrets with me, and he did. And I mean, it completely changed the way that I look at a lot of my art. And you know, I even told him that I'm going to tell people that it's called Roning. Because I'm naming it after you, or you have to name it after yourself, because these are your techniques. But I mean, I think the best way to get better is to be around people that are on different levels, and it's amazing how much you can learn, you know. And that's part of, you know, sharing cultures. You learn about each other's cultures, and you also learn about art itself and how to create art, how different people create art, and how they have different paints in different parts of the country and different parts of the world, and the tools that they use and what they have available and what they don't, and how they find creative ways to get around lack of tools or lack of paint or lack of you know, places to paint, and it just really broadens your horizons as an artist.
And what was the most successful, if you can, I don't know if there is one, because you've had so many really beautiful pieces, what would you say would be the one that people remember the most so far?
The one he did with Ron, the one you did with, Kamea did one on Cook and Pohukaina of Shauna's, of his girlfriend's face.
Yeah, it's like a whole side of the building, and it's just a close-up of her face looking up into the sky. And
people love that one.
I've gotten a lot of
the one
amazing feedback on that one.
The one on the one that 123 Clan Debs Mallet's, like, and the one on Kaimana Street. That's
Kamani.
Like Kamani Street. That's near Namba shop.
And Namba is
Kamea's auntie.
My auntie.
Yeah, people will. Yeah, and Namba, the fashion designer. So, and you've done work for her even as a teenager.
Yeah, I've been doing graphic design for her, you know, designing her textiles since I was 15.
So art runs in the family, obviously.
It definitely runs in the family. Yeah, and she's also one of Pow Wow's biggest supporters. She helps run our fundraiser, and she really is a believer in what we're doing.
Are there women artists who participate?
There's a ton, yeah. There's a bunch, yeah. We make it a point to find a good balance. I mean, granted, within the street art community, sometimes, I mean, it's definitely male dominant for sure. But we make it a point to sort of bring in as many females. And we actually have our art school, and our art school has about 35 students, and the majority, or the most talented kids, are all girls, all females.
How do people find your art school?
Right now, it's been very word of mouth, just because it's small. You know, as we develop and
it's
grow.
also free too. So
yeah, we fund it, so it's we just simply can't afford to teach the amount of students that we want to. I mean, we're gonna try our best to keep growing.
Let me ask you, as former public school students in Honolulu, did you see your art or music classes cut, or did you have them?
Yeah, no, yeah. We were there. I took classes, but we knew that the resources were so limited. And I stay in touch with my art teacher, and then she tells me it's tough being an art teacher in Hawaii, because then sometimes you don't even have the right kind of paint to teach with. Like, you know, they'll have like a lot of tempera, and you can't really teach people how to paint with tempera paint, you know, because then they can't afford like acrylics or oils or something, you know. And so
I mean, we're hoping to create an art school that when we were that age, we would have loved to be a part of, you know, and that's what we want to create for the next generation is giving them, you know, all their classes are being cut in school, but then they have this outlet over here, and it's free to them, and they can come, and if I had $1 million to start a school with, you know, thousands of kids, I would do it now, you know, because that's something that my auntie said she would have loved, you know, that we would have loved. That, I mean, everyone who's a creative now said that, you know, they could have always used more when they were younger.
And sometimes it's a lifesaver for kids who don't have a passion or another outlet that they can access.
Yeah, no, yeah. Some of the students there, it's like we also do like portfolio reviews and even college counseling to sort of show them that there is a way to get into art colleges and stuff. Because then I wish I had that, you know, like I didn't even know about art colleges. And then and so we'll do all that kind of work, and we've actually helped to get some students into art colleges.
The developing arts movement in Kakaako, inspired by Jasper Wong and Kamea Hadar, is not limited to their annual Pow Wow Hawai'i event. Other community events, such as Eat the Street and Honolulu Night Market, have sprung up, perhaps in part because of the popularity of Pow Wow Hawai'i. The pair has also established a headquarters in the neighborhood.
Lana Lane is this 5,000 square foot warehouse that Kamea School sort of helped us acquire, that we turned into a creative studio. So basically, it's just a bunch of artist studios that we rent out for really, really cheap to just to give artists our space to work out of and to sort of collaborate together with and to provide facilities. And we have a variety of people from like painters, screen printers, to like fabric dyers, to people that work on motorbikes, to video editors, to musicians and everything. And so it's really, to be honest, like an artist favela, because then everyone just sort of creates their own space in there. And it was a super raw space that we sort of just all worked on, and it's mostly managed by Jeffrey Gress, who also helps a lot with Pow Wow as well. So it's one of our projects that we sort of created to sort of create more of a. So
it was an abandoned property that you rehabbed?
Yeah, it was more like before it was a concrete company. Before it was like a tire company. Like they sort of fixed cars and did tires in there, and so it's one of these sort of like empty spaces that no one really knew what to do with. Mm-hmm. And as artists, we sort of see it as an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And so we sort of used this space to create something that we wanted for the artist community in Hawaii, you know. And so it's become like sort of our headquarters and a gathering place.
And where is it?
It's on Lana Lane. It's called Lana Lane Studios, but it's on this private road called Lana Lane, and it's right on Oahe Street between Cook and Coral.
Jasper Wong and Kamea Hadar consider themselves a good duo because they see themselves as both dreamers and doers with good creative and business sense. They acknowledge that organizing Pow Wow Hawai'i is an enormous undertaking, but a task they look forward to taking on again.
Such a remarkable phenomenon, and yet you can't rest on your laurels because it's just as hard the next year, right? Maybe you're paying less. Yeah. You're not paying your own money for it.
Or we make it harder for ourselves by making it bigger.
Right. You're always upping the learning curve for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the dreamer part. You know, is that you know, you're never completely satisfied. You're always hungry for more, and you're always motivated to do bigger and better. You know, I mean, one of my favorite things that we've been doing the last couple of years is blacking out and destroying the pieces, some of them, you know, and people are always shocked when we do that, and it's one of my favorite things in the world to do.
Why is that? Because you love creativity, and now you're destroying.
Because it just proves that it's really not about the finished product. That's something that you're going to sell. Or, I mean, you know, every artist needs to make a living, and you know, it has to be, you know. We have gallery shows and the pieces are for sale, but that's not the only thing that drives us. It's also the power of creativity and collaboration, all the artists working together and the process of all of us working together, and to see that happen and to be a part of it as an artist, it's a beautiful thing. And whatever we create, it's, you know, it's not that important. You know,
Yeah.
it's not as important sometimes as that whole process.
It brings it back to sort of how we were when we were drawing or doodling or painting when we were little kids. You know, none of us were thinking at that age that we were painting or drawing to sort of make a living or to sell this particular canvas. But then we just did it because we loved it and it was fun. And I think when you do it that way, when you sort of create it just for the fun of creation, and then destroy it afterwards, it kind of reminds us that it's really just about having fun and painting and creating.
Artists Jasper Wong and Kamea Hadar say they'll continue to do their part to grow this new art movement in Hawaii. They hope to bring in new groups of artists for collaboration and future murals in urban Honolulu. Jasper and Kamea are also considering expanding Pow Wow into several other countries as well. Mahalo to Jasper Wong and Kamea Hadar for sharing their story with us. And mahalo to you for joining us. For PBS Hawaii and Long Story Short, I'm Leslie Wilcox. Ahui ho!
For audio and written transcripts of this program and all episodes of Long Story Short with Leslie Wilcox, visit pbshawaii.org.
You should never be completely comfortable. I think even, you know, any artist can tell you that if you look at, you know, your work from a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, you instantly see how you've progressed. And if you don't, I mean, you should be constantly looking at how you can move